Welcome to the Technosthetic Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, and this is your host, Randy.
We're back.
We're back, dude.
Been a while.
2022. Everyone, yeah, dude, all over social media, people were like, where's Technosthetic?
Dude, I know. I've been seeing the tweets,
dude. The tweets were everywhere. Yeah. I was overwhelmed. I was like, guys, we need a break, dude. We work hard for this podcast, dude.
Too hard.
Too hard. We got some good topics today, dude. We're going to talk about CES 2022, major topic. We're going to talk about the 5500 XT from AMD graphics card.
AMD.
We're going to talk about Randy's PC upgrade. We're going to talk about Microsoft buying Activision. We're going to talk about the R5C. We're going to talk about NVIDIA. It's going to be
a lot of things going on.
Yeah, maybe Apple. So we have a lot of topics, so we're probably going to like lightning round some of them.
Yeah, but they got to be, dude.
They got to be. I think we ought to start off with the heavy CES topic.
Sure.
Because, I know that we're a little bit late on the coverage because, we've been relaxing, having a little bit of a New Year situation. But, yeah, we got a lot of opinions. I know I do. So,
I think everyone does.
What was what do you think that, because I think it was a pretty good year, CES was.
I think it was a pretty good year because I'm kind of excited for a large portion of what I feel was the focus of CES, and that's new display technology. Like, I'm pretty sure that you're in the same boat as I am. That, Eric and I both use LG CX48 OLEDs as our computer screens, and for all intents and purposes, like, they're probably the closest thing to what I would consider an ideal panel to be. Yet there's still some compromises, right? Like, there's peak brightness, there's ABL, there's some OLED pixel holding that like OLED kind of does because the response time is so fast, it has to kind of like bake in almost like a delay, and that increases latency, right? So there's a lot of room to improve, and I think we're starting to see that in a lot of the new mainstream displays shown at CES. So we may be approaching that like holy grail level of displays. And one thing that I would like to see is the CX48 is obviously 120 hertz. I would like to see that a little bit higher,
right?
And I think that we're going to see some pretty nice panels come out this year.
Yeah, so one of the big highlights, and I agree with everything you said, dude, I've been looking for like the next generation of sort of display technology, and I think that what Samsung has with QD OLED looks like it could be it. So
yeah, the technology is pretty interesting, isn't it? How it uses like the layers, and it just uses blue light to get brighter.
Yeah, which is fascinating to me. And as a result, you can get like with the way their display technology works, you get like richer colors and everything. Like it seems like you're getting a higher peak brightness, you're getting richer colors, and that's kind of like really, really good. And then it's a self-emitting technology, so you get like that kind of OLED, true blacks and stuff that really OLED is known for, and you don't get blooming and things that like even mini LED displays can get. So
true.
Yeah, man. So I was like really excited. So what do you know, man, like about QD OLED? Because I haven't read a white paper or seen their advertisements. I just know it's a Samsung, a different way of doing OLED, and then I saw a couple benefits, but like I still have questions on a technical level. Does it still have burn-in as badly as like a traditional OLED? And or is it better? Because I saw like they have a 3-year warranty on like that. I think the Alienware monitor that had the QD OLED was like a 3-year warranty on it.
Sure.
For burn-in stuff. So like, do you know anything about the burn-in? Because that's one of the concerns for a lot of people, right? Like, I'm not concerned.
Yes and no. So, it should be more resilient against burn-in. So, like, let me back up and kind of explain what I know is the difference between your standard OLED and then your QD OLED. And, like, this is just the information that I gathered very quickly, just from doing my own research on the internet. So, essentially, how OLEDs work right now is they're like an RGBW subpixel, So like burn-in is kind of a bad term for what happens to OLEDs because it's not necessarily image retention.
It's a fading thing.
It's certain pixels aging faster than other pixels, right? So like if you send a constant current through let's say red and blue.
I couldn't find that in your
Thanks,
Apple Music
thanks, Siri.
library. You can ask me to play a radio
Siri does
or
not
No.
want
music
to.
on a different
Siri's
No.
like, I want to be in the podcast, dude.
Yeah, Siri's like, whoa, dude.
Man.
Can I get in
That's
there
one
on
thing
it?
I hate. Like, I get that all the time myself.
Yeah, dude.
Especially if I say the seriously word.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
dude.
word that like triggers it every time. And when I'm gaming, I'm like, "Are you serious?" And then like, bam. But anyway, go ahead.
So essentially, with like white OLED, with like the RGBW subpixel that LG uses in all of their LG display uses in all their panels. I feel like Vincent Tia when I say LG display, dude, because he always says LG. He never just says LG. He always says with LG display.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah,
But
funny.
anyway, I digress. I'm off track here. So essentially, LG OLED has a RGBW subpixel where they have light emitting diodes for all of those colors, right? And the reason they have white is because just the RGB subpixel layout for OLED couldn't get bright enough. So pretty much every time you see like an OLED image, my understanding is it also has to light the white as well.
Okay.
And that could create a problem, right? Because then the white's always on. It's always, different values are going to red, different values are going to green, different values are going to blue, and different values are going to white.
Right.
So what's interesting about QD OLED is, as you know, I'm sure, and as some of our viewers may or may not know, blue is the brightest LED that you can make. Blue is basically the driving force behind brightness. That's why, like, when you turn your screen up on your cell phone or whatever, the blue level always looks to be elevated. Or like that's why if you look at those like Samsung televisions from back in the day, when they would be in like torch mode at Best Buy, and then like you would measure them, like the blue would clip through like the histogram chart on like the colors, because blue is bright, right? So essentially what QD OLED is instead of using an RGBW subpixel, the only light emitting color is blue.
Okay.
And then it uses quantum dot layers of red and green to make the other colors.
Okay, nice.
And then there's like a quantum dot layer for blue as well to give it the same tone, which doesn't affect tint at all. It just kind of tones it off. It's just kind of like a similar quantum dot layer, so they all go through the same QD layer to kind of balance out the tonality properly. But you also get multiple benefits with that, because you're basically using blue for everything. Your pixels will age more uniformly, so burn-in you probably will still get, because pixels will still age, and like sending current through a light emitting diode, or even sending current through any type of silicon, will just age over time. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who have had like overclocks on their processor, and then they run their computer for 8-9 years, then they realize it's no longer stable at that same voltage. It's kind of the same deal here,
right?
So essentially you probably will see less burn-in, because the blue subpixel layer is the one doing all of the light emitting, and then the quantum dot layer is the one that's applying the color.
Okay.
So coming back to the standard LG OLED of the RGBW subpixel layout, they basically have to always like kind of toss in white a little bit to kind of make like your reds and greens all of the same color. So then like, and again, this is just my understanding.
Right.
So when you have like a typical LG OLED, like the blue can get super bright, but the red and green can't. So then the red and green use the white subpixel to kind of boost the brightness of that, but it can only take it so far before those colors become inaccurate. So then you reach a brightness limitation, right? Because you can't outdo the white to match the red and green, because then your coloring is off.
Okay.
So you kind of run into some issues there. Yeah, dude, that's exactly right. Like, see how blue will become everything?
Yeah.
On the
what I want to do is
the QD OLED layer.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the podcast this webpage.
Sure.
This is like smartpricks.com. They got like this amazing diagram here where they show a traditional OLED versus like a QD OLED, and you can see the subpixel arrangement includes the white.
Right. So like see how in the diagram on the left, guys, like this is kind of what I was explaining. Like no matter what color is going through the RGB on the white OLED, white is always getting through.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas on the QD OLED, it's just blue base from everything, and then the quantum dot layer is what actually gives you your tones.
Yeah.
So you get two bonuses here, right? You get less susceptible burn-in because white doesn't have to blast everything to keep up with the blue subpixel,
right?
And two, because blue is already the brightest and blue is your main source, you have an infinitely higher peak brightness.
Yeah, and that's one thing I want to mention is, I had a DLP projector, and one of the things, actually I still do, right? And the one I have in there has like an RG and a B that it like cycles through with like a wheel or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like you can buy a different version of that includes a white also. So it's like a RGB white, and it achieves higher peak brightness. But what I've seen in practice is it means washed out colors.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking is this is much in the same way, where you eliminate the white subpixel, and your colors are the ones that are doing your white. Yep. So I think as a result, you're going to get much richer colors on these displays.
No, that's correct.
And that's what correct. I think HDTV Test YouTube channel, he went and saw. And he also agreed that the colors
LG display.
Yes, they punch.
Yeah,
so I was
and that's why.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, and the fact that we can get higher peak brightnesses, I think this might be the replacement for OLEDs for me personally, because
it could to be fair. To be fair, the color spectrum is RGB. Adding white is a crutch. You know what I mean? It's.
And let me ask you another question. Do you know this? So the subpixel arrangement, does having a weird subpixel arrangement impact text retention or is that something else? Because I remember discussion about certain text looking funny with different subpixel arrangements, and I didn't know if that was based in fact or not. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. And actually my knowledge on this goes back to Android phones.
Okay. Yeah, because you had really weird subpixel arrangements.
Right. So Android phones, back in the day, now we have premium Android phones, but that's no longer the case. But back in the day, Android phones came in as almost like a cheaper alternative to the iPhone. And I don't want to sound like Android phones sucked, because I thought the Nexus was really cool, side loading and all that stuff. But the target market for an Android phone was to undercut the cost of the iPhone. You know what I mean? It was mass market penetration. Let's get that in there. And I don't know if you remember this. You probably do when I bring it up. But older Android phones had what was called a pentile subpixel arrangement.
Yeah, so I'm going to show this to the podcast. Do you know which one of these is what we're talking about?
Me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
I think the one on the right is pentile.
Okay, so for the podcast, here's different subpixel arrangements. So the one on the far right being the pentile one. Okay. But whereas I don't even see a traditional arrangement where it's just RG and B side by side, and that's the OG, right?
Right.
So here I'll send you that link too. But just because you can't really see what the podcast can see, but this right here is a more traditional subpixel arrangement where you have the R and the G and the B right there side by side, whereas some smartphones would do this. So what do you know about text retention or anything about?
So I don't know a lot about text retention when it comes to pentile displays, but what I can tell you is that with older Android phones, the issue with text sharpness in pentile displays is that the edges of text may not always line up correctly, right? Because pentile displays are not uniform in the sense of they're patterned, but they're not uniform, if that makes sense. Right. So your text could essentially land because text on a screen can be displayed anywhere, right? So if your text edges land in a section of the pentile display that it can't display that color properly, it's going to look smeary.
Yep.
So that's my knowledge of it. I don't know anything about, from text retention or not. I believe that would have to probably do more with actual, diode usage instead of the actual layout of the diodes.
Okay.
But pentile displays do tend to look a little bit blurry. And if you notice, there are some people who say on the LG OLEDs that sometimes text doesn't look proper.
Right.
And that's because of the white and that's because of the white subpixel.
That's what I thought.
Because the white subpixel throws off the pattern or the layout of the RGB subpixels because it has to add in white. So if something lands on essentially where that white subpixel is, it's going to look a little smeary. I mean, like, it's really hard to notice on our CX48s because it's kind of like a high res screen.
Right.
But like, if you really wanted to get nitpicky and put it under a microscope, or you even look at really thin, fine text, you would probably notice it pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for example, on our element window, like the top of the M in the chat room, I can see it a little bit there.
Okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about, dude.
So
that's why I think it's a good idea that we're removing it. So the fact that we're going through just to RGB and getting rid of the white, you're going to get better colors. You're going to get, they're advertising better peak brightnesses. I really want to know how they're going to do with like ABL. Do you know anything about that? Because
nothing was announced. But to my understanding, and this is just my random guess, right?
Right.
Is that we probably won't have ABL, and that's
if we don't have ABL, that's going to be crazy.
And that's because it's a power thing, right? So like, if they're just lighting blue diodes, I don't see that being a power issue, and I don't see it being an issue where they have to limit the screen.
Okay.
So I don't. Again, I could have ABL, but I foresee it. If you held a gun to my head, I would say it would not have ABL.
Okay. So for those listening that don't know what ABL is, it's basically what will limit your, like, if you have your how do you describe ABL, dude?
So like
automatic peak brightness, or
essentially what ABL is it's basically an auto brightness limiter.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So literally,
by definition.
So like, literally speaking, like if you get a CX48 or any OLED for that matter, and you open a screen, okay, and you open, let's say you open Photoshop, okay, and Photoshop is like all gray. It's going to look really nice, it's going to look really clean, it's going to look really bright, and then you want to Google something, and then you open up Google and you make that full window. It has to display white across all 48 inches of the display, right, which means that it has to fire all 4 subpixels to make white. And it becomes a power limitation thing where it will cut the brightness to each pixel because it has to light up all 4 pixels.
Right.
So my understanding, I'm not a display technician, but with the QD OLEDs, it always only lights blue. So I don't think we'll have ABL.
Yeah,
for that reason, because like if you open up Google to make that white, it has to light 4 subpixels.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
No, I think so. So it's going to be very interesting because if we don't have ABL, like, that's a direct advantage. One of the things I noticed while playing Monster Hunter World in HDR was some of the areas that were very bright, like outdoorsy areas. It not only limited peak brightness, but it also sort of washed out the colors as a result. And I just felt like it was dull, when ABL was kicked in. When I was in those lush, like, kind of forest areas that were covered with shadow, but like a couple lights were coming in, it looked really punchy and bright because there was none of that. But ABL really kind of, I won't say it ruined it, but it definitely impacted my enjoyment of the display.
So if you play Monster Hunter World, shocker, we've been playing Monster Hunter Rise.
Yeah.
So
a lot.
Get prepared for some reference for that because we've been addicted.
Yeah, addicted. Dude. I got like 60 hours, I think.
Yeah, dude, it was Bizarre World because like I was talking to Kelly, like a slight segue here, and she was like, "Man, you guys play a lot of games." I'm like, I just want to point something out, dude. Eric, Monster Hunter World has been out for 4 days. And Eric has like 48 hours on it. He played for over 10 hours every day.
Yeah.
And she is like, does he have a kid? I'm like, yeah, dude. But anyway.
Yeah. Amanda was like, she actually gave me a talking to. She's like, yo, you can't be playing that. Like, I was like, all right. All right. She's like, I haven't seen you in 4 days. Like, I was like, okay. All right. Well, thanks for letting me play while you did.
If you sit by the item box in the village, and you just move your right stick up and down, so like it goes from ground sky, it'll literally just ABL constantly.
Yeah, that's
like constantly, like 100% replicatable every single time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like we came from PG-27UQs at one point, and those things had 1,000 nits peak brightness and no ABL, and even though it wasn't even micro LED, it was just like
it's just a full array local dimming decent LCD panel. Like in my opinion, like the PG27UQ is probably peak LCD panel. You know what I mean? Like that's full maturity standard LCD panel. Like that's the best that they can get that technology.
Right.
Like not talking quantum dot, not talking anything, because Samsung makes some really nice and really impressive quantum dot more traditional LCD LED panels. Not quantum dot, just straight LCD LED panel. I think that was probably close to the pinnacle of what that technology can do.
Right. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm fixing my camera because it decided to overheat, I think.
Oh, dude, you always make fun of me, dude.
Yeah, dude. It got a little hot. Dude.
Well, the R5 is not throwing any warnings, dude.
Dude. You know what it was? Is like it's one of those things where if I don't have the back screen like folded out, it'll get warm. It'll get hot. Yeah.
I have mine folded in, dude.
Do you?
Yeah.
Dang, dude, you're that good.
No, dude, it's just literally blown out of proportion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For both cameras. Like I think under standard normal operating procedure, you probably won't have an issue with either camera overheating. Like there's people who are like, oh my god, dude, I recorded 8K 30 in a hot room with the screen closed for 33 minutes and it overheated. It's unusable. Like you're never gonna do that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna sit down and just nuts to balls just record 33 minutes of 8K.
No.
And if that's your if that's your market, Sony sells a camera that does that. If that's your market, Canon sells a camera that does that.
Right.
You want a hybrid, you have to realize that there are small limitations, but they're easily workaround,
So I want to circle back, dude. So I got my camera good. I turned it back on.
Right.
So
check
this out.
I was kind of just blowing ass while you were...
No, dude, it's fine. I just had to turn it off, blow on it a little bit, like a Nintendo cartridge,
Yeah, it did.
And then flip the screen out and we're good. So anyway, so check it out. One of the things I want to talk about is the best. So obviously we care about these display technologies because we use them in our gaming monitors.
Sure.
I have an LG TV, and I know you were like eventually going to upgrade your Samsung boy. So like, we care about these display technologies. So like, what was your best of show like as far as monitors go? Because
that Samsung G8 or G9, the 32-inch 4K. That's my next man. I'm probably gonna get two of those to be quite honest.
Samsung G9. What about the
G8.
Alienware 34-inch boy? Did you see that?
I don't do ultra wides. I like them, but I just don't do ultra wides for multiple reasons. It makes dual monitors really awkward. Not every game supports it, and then that gets me frustrated. And I kind of just...
So it's what? It's the
Samsung G8.
G8, not the
32.
G9. Yeah. Is it the G8 Neo, or is that something else?
It's the G8 Odyssey Neo.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at
it's
different...
4K, 240 hertz.
Oh my god, dude. So does this use the QD OLED, or is this something else?
This is...
is it like mini LED?
It's mini LED. Okay.
Oh,
it's mini LED. It's 4K, 240 hertz, mini LED, 1000R curve. You ready, dude?
Yeah.
2000 nits.
Wow, dude, that thing's gonna blast your eyes
4K, 240, 2000 nits.
Okay. What kind of panel is this? LCD?
It's
like
it's
IPS,
mini LED.
like
It's mini LED. It's probably VA. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably VA.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the monitor looks cool, and it's got a curve on it.
Yeah,
looks like yeah.
Okay. And apparently it's going to retail at $12.99. So I would probably get two of these.
$12.99. So you don't do ultra wides? Interesting. Dude.
I don't, and it's largely because when you spend as much on computer hardware as we do, booting a game up that doesn't run optimally is just ass cancer. And that happens with ultra wides. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, but it's less and less common. I found that there's always a hacky way to make ultra wide work, except for if you're Overwatch, because you wouldn't want to.
You lose too much Z.
Yeah, you lose
or
the
Y.
Z.
Sorry, you use Y, not Z.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's Z, right? Because it would be on a.
It doesn't matter, dude.
How does it apply to monitors?
It depends on what software you're using, whether or not it's X, Y, and Z. But yeah, it's one of the axes, right? You lose vertical resolution because they crop you.
Big true.
And that's the worst way to handle that situation. I don't know, man. I think my best in show might have been that Alienware. It's QD OLED. It's ultra wide. So you're using the new technology that we just got done talking about. It's real nice, 3440 by 1440. I won't get it because I'm kind of like 4K or bust, right? So
it's not about PPI, right? Like, what's the PPI on this? Is probably higher or
well,
similar.
It's 34 inch, so it's going to be like an X34.
It's probably similar to our. Let me see here.
It's going to be like an X34. You know what I mean? But it's going to have the QD OLED in it, and it's going to be HDR and everything. I'm trying to see what the peak brightness is on it. And I like the design of it too. It kind of looks sick. But I don't know, man. Very nice looking. The QD OLED is. I just got my eye on it, right? So I'm really looking forward to products coming out in the QD OLED category. Did you see the PG42UQ? That's another monitor.
I didn't.
Yeah. So that's obviously we care about.
So I just want to point this out here right now. 3440 by 1440 ultra wide, 34 inches, has a higher pixel density than our current panels.
I mean, that makes sense, but like I have so much screen real estate because it's big, like in my eyes, and I have more pixels theoretically. You do like pixel density is one thing, but like I have more pixels. You know what I mean? So and that ultimately wins. Like, who has more pixels? That's going to give you the most screen real estate for everything. Right. So whether
I'm not arguing that. I'm just
what I mean?
Like clarity, I guess.
No. As far as clarity goes, it's going to be fantastic.
This Alienware is G-Sync Ultimate at 175 hertz.
Okay, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Its peak brightness is 1,000 nits.
1,000 nits. So it's really it's a solid pick.
But it's 250 nits standard.
What's the cost? Because like you can run it in standard. Who cares? Because like if you're gonna run it in HDR mode on Windows, you can like crank it up if you want. And then I don't know what the on-screen controls will let you do, but as long as it says 1,000 nits peak, you should be pretty good. Yeah, one thing that's interesting I find is this. What is this? The PG42UQ, because it's a 42-inch gaming monitor, so it's basically.
So take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I found an article on Digital Trends, and like I couldn't find it anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere else, but they say it's gonna be $4,000.
God dang. Yeah, that's trash. Get out of here. Get out of here. Nobody wants that.
And it's apparently only HDR 400, according to this.
How? It's 1,000 nits peak, right?
It's 1,000 nits peak, but its overall is HDR 400, apparently, according to this.
That's weird.
Yes, this is definitely the monitor, and it says brightness 250 nits typical, 1,000 nits peak.
Right,
in HDR mode, it's display HDR 400 True Black.
Okay, that's garbage, dude. Get it out of here.
I'm telling you, that Samsung G8 is the one you want.
Yeah, that's pretty garbage. The PG. Let me tell you about that real quick. PG42UQ, OLED 42-inch monitor. All right.
Let me pull it up. I didn't see this one yet. PG42. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Jamie
obviously
pulled it up for me, dude.
Love it.
Ooh,
pretty good pick, man. I mean, honestly,
isn't this just a rebranded LG 42 though?
Yeah, it is. It is though.
So why would I get this?
You won't. I just thought it was cool.
Like, does this add anything other than?
No, it adds a gamer design.
Yeah, like other than a design I don't want.
Yeah,
does it add anything?
Nope. Other than I think
hold on. It does have an anti-glare micro texture coating, but I kind of like the glossy boy. I think things look better.
Glossy is better.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think objectively.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So like this is just worse than getting the LG OLED, right?
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't do it. I just wanted to see what you had to say about it, but I like that we're getting 42-inch OLEDs though, because the 48 is for a lot of people too big. I found that I'm very used to it.
Dude, can I talk about that for a second? Because like my friends come over every Saturday, and like they're competitive gamers. You know what I mean? Like they play League of Legends constantly, dude.
Yes,
and
I know
like,
what you're talking.
And there's like And like we were drinking a little bit, and like I fired up a League game and they were watching. They're like, "How do you fucking play on that thing, man? You can't even see the mini map. That thing's such junk." You know what I mean? Like it was just like, okay, but like the 95% of games I do play, it's a totally immersive experience. And like I'm 34 years old.
Yeah,
I have a job. Like I'm not gonna be like I'm not a pro gamer, man.
Like, guy, like here's my argument to those people, dude. If you fucking don't care, if you don't like how big it is, play it in a fucking window, dude.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You can literally get like a what is it, 2560 by 1440p window that's like the size of like a 1440p monitor. You know what I'm saying?
So the only problem I have with the size is I can't fit a second one on my desk.
Yeah, I know.
And I really want dual monitors. Yeah, I really do want dual monitors again. So like that's where the size is an issue to me. Like I could fit 248s on my desk for sure.
It's gonna sound weird. Do you know how what do you call it? What's that laptop that has the screen above the keyboard?
The Zephyr, the Asus Zephyr.
It's
Zephyr
it's like
Duo?
Yeah, the Duos.
Yeah.
I kind of want a Duo type of thing, but like for my desk,
like top
right here.
Down?
Yeah, like just right here. Like because like I can't put one next to me. I don't want to put one above me because I don't want to break my neck.
Above is bad. Yeah.
But like because I've had my TV up there and it's never been good. So like
maybe the play is we raise the 48 a little bit and then we put the smaller monitor under it.
Well, yeah, like no, I don't want to do that. I just want something like, you know how like the iPads kind of clutch, you know, with like what do you call that, sidecar, where you can make it a second monitor. Like if I could take the iPad and like put it in like a slightly tilted but kind of mostly laid down angle right there, because I just need it for like your Discord, TeamSpeak sort of thing, Element.
Yeah, like
you know, and I could look down and see it. So I don't know. I think that would be enough for me to be happy. Like I don't need like a big dual monitor really. Like the only reason, let me be real with you, the only reason you're going to get two of the G8s is so you can have a pretty desk and have matching monitors.
True. Of course,
you know what I mean?
That's what's awesome.
You don't need a G8 for Discord. You know what I mean?
I don't, dude.
You don't need a fucking G8 for Discord.
It's got to look good, though.
That's what I mean. Like you're going to pay the big bucks just so you can have a sexy desk.
That's 100% correct. You are not wrong. That's right.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Did you blame me though?
No, I don't blame you either, because like I would do the same. But like, god dang, dude.
It's that aesthetic tax, dude.
It is, but like for me, I mean, you know, I have like, for example, right, for my camera right here, I'm using a little monitor for my little teleprompter setup, right? And that's just, that has an HDMI input, dude. Like I could use that down here, like, you know what I'm saying, as a monitor. Or something equivalent, dude. I get a little Ninja, you know what I'm saying?
A little Ninja, dude. Little Atomos.
Yeah,
dude.
A little Atomos Ninja. Put it down there, hook it up, and I'd have to make it look pretty, right? Like it couldn't be jank. But all I need is a second display that I could throw that stuff on.
I mean, but that's kind of true of anything, right? Like you could buy like case fans that perform relatively well for like $14 a fan, right? Or
I don't know. I don't know any. Like every time I've bought cheap fans, they've been cheap fans. But
I have a Noctua Redux that I paid $14.99 for.
Oh, that's okay. Never mind. Noctua's
it's $13.99.
Trustworthy.
They're $13.95 on Amazon right now.
Yeah,
and they're just the great Noctua Reduxes. But I digress, right?
Oh,
so like,
I have some Noctuas just like that. Yeah.
So like they're fine fans.
I didn't realize that's how much they cost.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they're fine fans.
I use all Noctua, like some Redux, some of them with different. They're all Redux fans actually.
Yeah, they're nice fans, right? Yeah. But like, or I can spend $120 on 3 AL120s from Lee and look good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you pay to look good.
You do, you really do. It's crazy. But yeah, so as far as monitors go, I mean, I'm excited that we're getting 42-inch OLEDs. I'm excited that we have QD OLED. And yeah, man, it's going to be a really great year for monitors. I think we got some bangers coming out. Competition is going to mean prices are going to go down. More HDR monitors.
No, they're not. No,
not for emerging technologies,
yourself, dude.
Well, not for. Well, you know what the problem is? It's not really competition because it's only LG really making these OLED panels, and then it's now you have the QD OLEDs, and those are going to be ridiculous. You know what I mean? In cost, because they're brand new and they know what they got. You know what I mean? So they're not going to make it for cheap. There's no way. It's going to be their flagship technology. So yeah, it's going to be a couple years before we see those drop in price and like actually obtainable.
Sure.
But I do like that we're getting at least 42-inch OLEDs, because I stand behind my monitor purchase. I think that the LG 48-inch TVs as computer monitors are still like the best you can get, as far as like a package. You know what I mean? I think that they're the best. I remember this was a spontaneous purchase because you talked to me into it, I think.
I did, dude. I mean, come on, though. Yeah, a good one, right?
It was a good one. It hurt me to get rid of the PG27UQ, which is, right now it's Amanda's primary monitor, but it did hurt me to get rid of that because I fought so hard for that one too. You convinced me to get that one also.
I did.
Which is, you're a bad influence on me. You know that?
I'm not, dude. You're a bad influence on me. Oh my god, dude! Like look at my garage, dude. I think that kind of lines up.
Yeah, dude. We both got the Model 3s. That's funny. All right, dude. Let's move on to the next topic, I guess. What are you feeling, dude? Do you want to talk about the 5500 XT?
Let's touch on graphics cards for a little bit, because we can talk about the 3080, the 3080 12 gig, the 3090 Ti, and the 5500 XT.
Right. Quickly. Do you want to talk about, like, actually they were putting a lot of stuff in laptops too, like Nvidia? Like, what were they doing? They were like, the 3080 Ti and stuff in laptop.
I don't know if I think that there's our 3080 Ti Max Q, but like, admittedly, I don't follow gaming laptops that much because I would never buy a laptop that's not a MacBook.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I like to I like to look at it just to compare to my MacBook. So, like, even like you saw the stuff like Intel puts out and stuff like, oh, we can outperform Intel M1 Max now. Yeah, but your battery life isn't going to outperform the M1 Max. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and like has to be plugged in and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but graphics cards, man. So feed me the news, man. What's interesting to you about what?
I think what's interesting to me is like, I don't think that these companies, AMD or Nvidia alike, have really anything up their sleeve. So they're just rehashing old hardware. And I think, and this is just a theory, I think that what they're doing, right, is like, despite this like graphic shortage that we're going through, all this tells me is that AMD and Nvidia are still binning parts for themselves to be greedy. So AMD is rumored to come out with a 6900 XTX, which is basically a perfectly binned 6900 XT. Right. And now Nvidia beat them to the gun and came out with a 3090 Ti, which is just a perfectly binned 3090. So literally they had to get stock from this somewhere, right? So that means that like during this shortage of both, Jensen Wang or whatever his name is and Lisa Su spewing us all of these conversations and discussions about like, oh, we're for the gamers, we disabled crypto mining, we're a gaming centric company, we care about the players. Bullshit, dude. Yeah, you guys have been holding stock of GPUs to re-release a new product at a higher price.
Yeah, it's some bullshit. Yeah, I mean, we all know that they're being shady as fuck. I mean, and granted, like whatever they make, dude, they've been selling everything, and that's why with the silicon shortage plus supply chain issues, all that crap added up, and like now you have scalpers. Like it's just ridiculous. Miners and scalpers like are grabbing everything up, and it sucks right now. And they know what they got, dude. Like why do they have to compete? Well, they sell everything that they put out. You know what I mean? Even if it's garbage. And speaking of garbage, dude, that 5500 XT seems like complete garbage, dude.
Ooh, it doesn't seem like it, dude. It is. Like,
it is garbage.
Like, it is. It is.
So, it's what? What is it, like $200 or something? What is it?
Supposed to be, allegedly. And I say allegedly.
MSRP.
$1.99. Allegedly.
Okay. Yeah,
allegedly, dude. Can you pull up the spec page on this for the audience if possible? Is that something we can do, dude?
Yeah, let me I'm going to, should I go to the AMD's page here for that? Specifications?
Yeah, I'm trying to find one that like gives us like a nice
spreadsheet type of thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I click on specs, okay. Well, I mean, their product page has specs at the bottom. Does that run down what you want? Yeah, it does.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah, of course. So if you click on specifications and scroll down, so this is what we're looking at for the viewers out there. This is the AMD website where they talk about the 5500 XT. You can see the GPU specs here, frequency, transistor count. You can see how there's no media engine when it comes to well, you know what? Shoot, they say like there's encode decode for H.264. And it looks like H.265.
First off, I apologize. We're on the wrong card. The card is a 6500 XT.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah. Okay, so actually I'm going to keep this up. I'm going to compare it. So 6500 XT, right? Okay, so specifications. Okay, so I can see the difference here. Because you have, it says no 4K H.264 encode, and no H.265 HEVC encode. So the media engine stuff is gimped, is what they're saying, right?
It's not gimped. It's non-existent.
Yeah, well, it's weird because they say supported rendering format like 4K H.264 decode. Yes.
Yeah. Decode is fine. It can play videos.
Yeah, exactly.
But it can't encode video, so you can't stream with it. So, like, if you were to play, like, even I don't know, man, like Minecraft, and you wanted to stream Minecraft, you would have to use CPU encode. You could
so
not
you can't use GPU encode.
Nope,
yeah,
nope,
garbage. Dude.
Nope.
Garbage.
Useless.
That's pretty bad, dude. A lot of people want to use their cards for that.
I know.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So tell me more about how this card sucks, right? I mean, the price is the price, but
the performance is extremely lackluster. It has 4 gigs of VRAM. If you're on the product spec page, look at the memory bus, dude.
Okay, so GPU memory, and we're gonna look at. They said memory interface is 64-bit.
Yeah,
and up to 144 gigabytes a second, which is
the
significantly
64-bit sound kind of low to you?
It's very low, actually. So I'm trying to see here, just looking at the 5500 XT, because I had it up. The memory bandwidth on that was 224 gigabytes a second. So even compared to that, it's 144 gigabytes a second, significantly gimped.
Yeah.
So they definitely went, and that was max memory 8 gig. So this one is going to be max memory 4 gig. This card is garbage. Like it's a direct downgrade, even from last year's card. But even compared to cards that are super old, it's like pretty garbage.
Yeah, it's also interesting from a few standpoints. You know, it's interesting that it's PCIe 4.0 4x.
Yeah.
But it only has traces for 4x, so it can't run in any higher spec than 4x. It can't run in 8x, and it can't run in by 16. So essentially that means that you can only get quote peak performance out of this card on basically Zen 3 and Intel 12th gen.
Right.
And if you're on Zen 3 or Intel 12th gen, you're not in the market for a $199 graphics card.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it's bizarro world. And like you're probably gonna have some people who are like not really understanding of that, because there's probably like a lot of our listeners who are like, oh, but I thought like PCI Gen 4 doesn't matter. And like you're right, it doesn't, right? Because we haven't saturated PCI 3 by 16 bandwidth
kind of
on graphics cards.
Dude.
What?
You remember when I wasn't running in Gen 4? Like I would legit be able to, if I was streaming, right? Like using the media engine and stuff, like I could push my PCIe Gen 3 lane like to where I was like receiving lag in my stream. But if I go to Gen 4 now, it's like butter. So like I need to be on Gen 4 to be able to use like the NVIDIA encoder at like with 4K, like 60 FPS, like, you know what I mean? Like there's bandwidth there that's happening.
I don't know.
I feel like I have it. Well, I'm just telling you what I do. Like it suffers. Performance suffers if I'm not on Gen 4.
Gen 4, yeah.
So like it might be that like you can, but this one you won't have to worry about that with this card because like you don't have a media engine, so who cares?
I digress. Anyway, it does matter with this card.
Yeah.
And the reason it matters with this card is because PCIe Gen 4 4X is 8 gigabits per second or something like that.
Okay.
Let me see what it is. PCI Gen 4 4X speed. It's 16. It's 16.
Okay.
Let me see here. That was 8 though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they're giving me the wrong number.
Yeah, I'm unsure. So, while you're looking that up,
yeah,
one of the things that they have on their, I guess, on their product page for the 6500 XT is, you can see like, look, 1080p high settings, and then they have several different games, and then they give you up to, like, for example, Halo Infinite, up to 78 frames per second. Fortnite up to 104 frames per second. They talk about like, Farming Simulator 22, dude, up to 115 frames per second. Dude. Call of Duty Vanguard up to 61 frames per second. You know what? They probably had to cherry pick games because they were like, shoot, dude, we can't show any games that go under 60. Oh, thank God we can put Call of Duty on this list because we were able to hit 61 frames in a certain like scenario looking at the sky or looking down at the ground. You know what I mean? Like this is so misleading because I'll tell you for a fact that 4 gigs of video RAM is going to be very limiting because many games like textures and a lot of these different graphics technologies will eat up your VRAM. I'm telling you right now, 4 gigs is very, like you're playing at 1080p, right? This is to be absolutely clear, 1080p graphics card, right? Even then, like 4 gigs, like you're going to have times where you're going to have to downgrade your graphics and struggle. And to be fair, it's a budget card. You're going to be downgrading your graphics anyway, but I feel like you're going to hit those, these cheap budget cards that come with so many of these compromises, you're going to be hitting walls like all the time. Different bottlenecks in different areas, whether it's memory bandwidth, whether it's, your max memory being only 4 gigs, you're going to hit these walls and you're going to feel limited, right? Like it used to be, you didn't have to worry about memory after a certain point. It was like, okay, I got enough. And then like you really only cared about like how much horsepower does your GPU have, like raw power,
right?
Rasterized power. But now you have to worry about more bottlenecks, not just like your GPU overall performance, but you got to worry about like hitting, memory bottlenecks. You got to worry about hitting memory capacity bottlenecks. You got to worry about other things. And it's like, you're just inconveniencing yourself.
You are,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. Like, I feel like if you're going for a budget card, dude, like I'd either buy used if you could. I mean, shoot, even used cars though, it's a hard recommendation.
I think that like there's 2 cards that really stick out to me as being really good cards.
Yeah.
The 1080 Ti, I think is a really good used bargain.
Yeah. So 1080 Ti, can you even get those for cheap?
I don't know. I'm sure at one point you could. Probably not anymore because people probably realize that they're good value.
Dude, I can't make this up. Like on Amazon, 1080 Ti's are like $1,000. Like Prime, get it Monday. Like that's it. I just typed in on Amazon. 3060 is like $800. Like this is Amazon pricing, right? Like I'm not looking at Newegg. I'm not looking at, but like cards are kind of crazy high. Cards are really crazy high. Let me see if 1080 Ti is like, dude, this guy's selling a 1080 Ti Founders Edition, $674. You know what I mean? Can you believe it? This guy, $700 for 1080 Ti. Okay, here we go. Wait. A new listing. 1080 Ti, $400, but it's bid 2 days left. Let's see what they're actually selling for, right? So if I filter and I show only sold items, right? Let's see what we can get. What are they actually selling for? $674, $610. I mean, that seems pretty high for a 1080 Ti.
Yeah, dude. It seems really high. Yeah.
So this one went for $500. So like that's the best you can really get. Is a $500 1080 Ti, and that's super high, dude. Yeah. Like, what was the MSRP for 1080 Ti, dude? Do you know? Like,
I had two of them. I don't know what they were though. 1080 Ti, $699.
Okay, yeah, okay. So it's like $500, or it's $500.
You know what's mind blowing, dude? Check this nonsense out, dude.
Yeah.
A 3080 was $699, and a 1080 Ti was $699, but the 3080 12 gigabyte MSRP is $1,249.
Yes, I think that we're just like out of the loop because we have cards.
But the 3080 Ti is $1,199. I don't understand this, dude. I don't understand this.
So I think the moral of the story is, even though the 6500 XT sucks, I mean, I wouldn't buy it. I think what I would do is hold out and like really try and get a actual card.
I think it's interesting that the 6500 XT is almost as powerful as the 6000 series APUs that they showcased off.
Oh, that's so pathetic.
It's mind-boggling. And I think those have hardware encode.
Yeah. Oh my God, they do. Yeah. So this is really just, honestly, why does this card have to be so big? You know what I mean?
For the gamers, though.
Yeah. I was like, this card could be thin as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be dual slot. It could be like an old one slot card with like one of those little dinky fans on it. That's what it should be. Anyway, let's talk about something else, dude. It sucks. I feel bad for anyone that needs a GPU right now.
Same.
Actually, you know what I want to talk about?
Or DDR5. Like I'd like to upgrade my DDR5 because I have 32 gigs of like what's theoretically slow DDR5, right? It's funny because it's 4800 megahertz.
Yeah,
but that's slow DDR5.
Yeah,
but I would like to get 64 of like a 5500 plus kit. But good luck, dude.
Yeah. So real quick, dude, like that's the topic I wanted to talk about. You got a new build. You built your so we talked about it on the last podcast. You had a water cooling disaster.
Yeah.
You talked about, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll just go full Mac. But you ended up going Intel, dude. So what do you what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, actually, you know, it's kind of a weird turn of events. You know, like I think we left off with me getting like the M1 Max 16.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'm going to try to piece this back together because you brought up some good points about, you know, like playing games and stuff. And there's going to be a time where I'm going to want to play a game.
Right.
I'm not going to have that functionality. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what I can salvage here. And I ended up taking apart my 3090, getting a Q-tip, using my 99% isopropyl alcohol that I use for my print bed, you know, my 3D printer.
Yeah, for sure.
And I kind of just like dumped some of that into like a little, like almost like a petri dish, and then I was like swabbing up with the Q-tip, and I was going over every single part of the 3090 because, as you may know, but our audience may not, is that water itself is non-conductive, but the minerals in water are what makes it conductive. So like even though I use distilled water, like it's going to pick up some minerals just from being water, right? Just from being stagnant water, just from running through different metals in your loop. It's going to pick up some sort of metal shavings, and that's what causes shorts, you know. So I really wanted to make sure that any sort of water that was dried on there didn't leave behind any sort of metal corrosion or not. So I really went over it really nice with the Q-tip.
Right.
Let it air dry out for a couple days. Then I put it back together, tested it. It works fine. Honestly, I think it works better than fine because it's the reason for that is because I think that like the ROG Strix is a good card, but like I don't think any like OEM really uses the best thermal paste. You know what I mean? So like
no, that's why I always like putting liquid metal if I can, or just better paste.
So like now that I'm back on like the stock air cooler and stuff, I just put Cryonaut on Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut, and like my temps are shockingly low. Like my 3090 Strix now with the stock cooler on never goes above 70C,
right? And
the fans never go above 75%. The only thing that I lose going to the stock cooler is the ROG Strix has a 123% power limit. Sorry, I just opened up Afterburner to check. Yeah, it's 123. I can't run 123 on the stock cooler.
Okay.
But I think that's kind of a cool thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like buying a card that lets you go beyond what it can do out of the box is pretty neat.
Right.
Now, granted, we're talking about 100 megahertz core clock difference between 100% and like 123% on air cooler.
Right.
But literally, the card hits ADC and the fans go to full power. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth the trade off.
No.
So I keep it at 100% power limit. But when I was underwater, I kept it at 123. Obviously,
makes sense.
So back to the build. I just want to shout out my girlfriend Kelly for being an absolute saint. Because the story of how I ended up with this build is actually, it's almost like a Christmas miracle,
Yeah.
So for those of you who may not know, Intel 12th Gen is the first mainstream platform that uses DDR5 system memory. And there's a big memory shortage going on right now. I mean, like more so than like complete components. Part of the reason why there's a graphics card shortage is because of the memory shortage, So getting your hands on DDR5 is extremely, extremely difficult. So much so that Intel even released support for third parties to make DDR4 boards on 12th Gen because they weren't moving product because there's no RAM for it, right? So like when you buy a 12th Gen processor, you have to either buy a motherboard that supports DDR4 or a motherboard that supports DDR5. And obviously, if you're doing a new build, you really don't want to make a platform that's on an older technology. So for me, rebuilding on DDR4 was kind of not an option because I don't want to be limited by that. And like the actual die is different. So like it's not like you could just put DDR5 in a DDR4 board. The pinouts are actually different.
Right.
And like I had no idea there was a memory shortage. It was basically Christmas Day night. So Christmas was on a Saturday. And like for some reason I couldn't sleep around like the witching hour around like 3 a.m. So I'm just gonna like order some parts and like get this build going, because I was excited. The graphics card was working. I wanted a computer again.
Right.
So I was doing some research because I've been out of the PC hardware loop for a while. And Intel came out with a 12900K, which kind of follows almost like Apple's kind of processor design in a way, where like they have 8 high efficiency cores with hyperthreading, and then they have 8 efficiency cores that are just single threaded. They don't have hyperthreading on them.
Right.
So essentially you have a 16 core processor that's 24 threads instead of 32 threads. And Intel is finally off of the 14 nanometer plus process. They're down to 10 nanometers now.
Yeah.
And this processor just pumps, dude. Like it's literally, dude. It's literally, it's from another planet. I mean, it draws wattage that requires another planet to sustain it, but it is something else. Like I have 2 cores right now on 5.4, 2 on 5.3, and the rest on like 5.2, 5.1 with a -1 AVX offset, and all efficiency cores are at 4 gigahertz. And I get like 29K in Cinebench R23, which is higher than a 5950X. And I have theoretically 8 less cores, 8 less threads.
Wow, dude.
So yeah, it's a really great experience. On 12th Gen, you do have to run Windows 11 because Intel has basically said, "Hey, we have this really new architecture with performance cores and efficiency cores, and Windows Scheduler is shit to begin with," which I find like super ironic. Like it also makes me, it kind of makes me feel, dude, like I'm on the Truman Show sometimes because, well, dude, like. Go back to our podcast, like when we were talking about the M1 Max, and like you and I were having discussions about like how like I think a lot of the performance has to do with just the Mac OS scheduler, and now all of a sudden Intel's like, yeah, Windows Scheduler sucks, so we came out with a solution. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like I have cameras in my room somewhere. But anyway, on Windows 11, 12th Gen Intel processors use their own schedule called Thread Director. And that kind of does all of like the process handling that and like service handling that Windows would typically do in Windows 10 and back on older processors. So it knows what processes and services are going to get handed off to the efficiency cores. It knows which ones need performance cores. If you're rendering a large task, like if you're using like CPU rendering or you're uncaching files,
right,
or you're doing all that stuff, it'll use both on the same task. It'll just give you all the power you want dedicated to that task.
That's really cool.
And like going back on my 3900 XT, like it was a good machine, but like just being on Intel again, like the whole machine just feels smoother, it just feels snappier, it feels less bogged down. I think a good example for me is, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, is like if I take photos on my camera and then I import those photos into Lightroom, I couldn't even talk on Discord or TeamSpeak. Like I would get totally robotic.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because like you have enough cores and threads, like that shouldn't even be a thing.
Right. So that led me to believe it was a scheduler issue. But now on Windows 11 12900K with Thread Director, it feels like the scheduler almost feels Mac-like. Like it doesn't matter what I'm doing on my computer. Every other process I do feels smooth.
That's amazing, dude. Like I gotta say, yeah, it doesn't make any sense because like it used to be that like storage speed was like a big bottleneck with like computer snappiness. We solved that with like SSDs, then M.2s. Like, okay, that's not a bottleneck. We have 1 million cores and threads now. That's not a bottleneck. We should be able to do anything we want instantly. But the scheduler had to have been. Yeah. It had to have been it. So like, I'm really happy to hear your experience with Windows 11 and Intel. Like, does AMD, do you know if they're going to do anything like that? I mean, because right now Intel did that with Microsoft, right? Like it was a partnership sort of thing, right?
It was kind of a partnership. It's my understanding that like
Intel developed it, I'm sure.
Yeah, Intel developed it, and they said, "Yo, can you allow like hardware level scheduling in your OS?"
Yeah.
And Windows was like, I mean, I guess, but like we have to put it in Windows 11, right? Because it's at the kernel level, so they have to say, we'll put it in Windows 11, but we can't put it in 10.
Well, I feel bad for AMD then. Like they're gonna be stuck with whatever bullshit Microsoft gives them, right? Like you're still stuck with the Windows scheduler. Like it might have been improved over Windows 10, but like, is it going to be an Intel exclusive technology? It seems like it is. Well, so, I don't know.
Here's where we're at. So like AMD will never run Intel Thread Director or Thread Director as we know it, because that's literally Intel's technology, right? It's Thread Director. Because Windows 11 allows that kernel level scheduling access, AMD could theoretically make their own Thread Director equivalent.
Okay.
But I don't know where or how far down the line
I don't see, because I don't see a reason for me to go back to keep on AMD when Intel has this. Like it's such an advantage.
I wouldn't. Be honest
it's seriously
with you.
significant.
Like just feeling this. I don't want to say like performance because the performance is there on both sides, but just the user experience of how this feels, dude. Like I just don't want to not feel that way again. Yeah. So even if on paper, if Zen 4 is faster than my 12900K, I won't be persuaded because I know that in like normal tasks and how I use a computer, won't feel the same. Because it didn't feel the same on my 3900 XT. My old 8086K, was that my processor before that? Or no, because I can't remember if I ever had a 9900K or not. How bad is that?
Yeah.
Did I?
I don't know, man. We go through hardware a lot, so I don't blame you, dude. I have shit memory, so.
Yeah. Anyway, I never remember. Thanks, you're on the list. Can you answer a question? Yeah, I did. I did order a 9900K. Okay. So I did have a 9900K.
Nice, you found it.
I could tell you right now that I've never. On my 8086K or my 9900K, I've never had just like random usability issues that I had with my 3900 XT. And on paper, the 3900 XT was faster, right? Like, so it didn't make sense to me, and like it racked my brain, and like that's kind of what made Mac so impressive to me, is like all of these small usability tasks where I have multiple applications open and I'm running multiple programs that are system intensive, like importing photos into Lightroom or exporting a project in DaVinci Resolve. Like my computer on the 3900 XT was unusable at that point, and that didn't happen on the Mac, and that doesn't happen on Intel. You know, so like even if Zen 4 is faster than the 12900K, which I think it should be because it's not out yet. You know what I mean? So like now it's their turn to kind of, leapfrog over Intel, and then Intel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You know how it is. I don't think I'll be persuaded just because they won't have Thread Director, and they probably won't have 5.5 gigahertz single core.
Right. No, that's the thing, dude. Like when it comes to my desktop, it has to be the best gaming machine possible, and I need single core. Yeah. And you have to, whoever has the best single core and experience overall is going to be who I go with. Like when it comes to my server computer, it's a different story because I care about threads, right? Sure. So I'm going to go with the AMD option so I can have like 32 threads or more if I want to go Threadripper, right? Like because I run VMs, I want to have like as many threads as possible for the several different server tasks it runs. Right. But like for my desktop, dude, I just need the best single core possible. I don't really care about because think about it, right? Like what good is having 32 threads really? Like, it can churn through like a DaVinci Resolve thing, but I'm GPU accelerated anyway. So it's like thing, man. Everything that would really be like beneficial to have like that much threads is really just a lot of times it's GPU accelerated anyway. So it's like, who cares? Like, unless you're running a lot of labs and VMs and stuff, like who cares? I don't know. It's like I was gonna say like
I feel like AMD would be better for like VMing, right? So like I recently watched a video of like Linus of like Linus where he used like Parsec to like share GPUs with Parsec. So like multiple gamers can game off.
Yeah, that was
computer.
cool.
And I'm like, oh man, that'd be cool. I'm like, oh, but I really only have 8 performance cores, so like that wouldn't really be viable for me.
No,
but I feel like a 5950X would be more viable there.
It would be, what I mean? Or like if you went Threadripper or something like that. But even then, you got to deal with the scheduler being ass. So, but still, it would be the better machine because you just have more resources to cut, and allocate out. So. But yeah, like that's where I think AMD shines. If you're somebody that really still needs those cores and threads, like maybe you're running servers or something, I get it. AMD's still king, I think there.
You know where else this 12900K is an absolute loon, dude?
Where's that?
I've been playing Warzone lately, like Call of Duty Warzone.
Right.
And minimum FPS in that game on a 12900K is almost non-existent. Like I would almost say that like I don't have a minimum FPS.
What is it? Just like you're saying your frame times are very stable, like you're locked down like to a solid.
Yeah, like how what's what I'm looking for?
You don't fluctuate.
Yeah, like how like there's like 1% lows and stuff. Like I feel like if my frame rate is like let's just say 150, okay, I feel like my 1% low on the 12900K is like 144.
Okay.
Whereas I feel like my 1% lows on a 3900 XT was like 50, 56.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Like I really care about that too.
Yeah.
Like it's not really about like if my GPU can do like, maybe I'm playing like a AAA game and I can get like, 70 frames per second, but then it dips down to like 40s, or like on occasion, like you get those dips and you get those like 1% lows that really just like you feel your gameplay hitch and stuff. I feel like Intel's like more stable.
It is for sure. And
the platform.
And I think that comes down to just the mega high IPC and the mega high core frequency. You know?
Yeah, I guess so. And that I look forward to going back to Intel. I've always been a fan of Intel builds. I feel like all my AMD builds, and this is just me talking out my ass because like this is just pure feeling, but like I always felt like my AMD builds were always a little bit more unstable, always a little bit more messy. Whereas like my 100%. Intel builds always felt like more solid, like the PC wasn't gonna just collapse on me, and and it just I don't know, it just felt more reliable. So I really look forward to going back. I'm just not really in the market to do it, and plus the market's not really a best time to buy hardware.
I mean, like honestly, dude, if you're like walking through a computer store and you see DDR5, I would probably jump.
Just buy it. Yeah, it's like I'll take all your stock.
Yeah, but like, well, like I mean, I would probably switch.
Yeah,
I would probably I would probably move your 5950X to your server, And
it would be enough of a change because I'm not going Windows 11 until I do it. I'm just going to stay with what I got.
No, I wouldn't go Windows 11 unless you were on 12th gen, and then you would do a full native install with debloat.
Yeah, I think that's my plan.
But honestly, dude, if you did do that, you would be like, I've been missing things.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to feel great.
It does feel great, man. It feels super great.
Anyway, dude, I'm glad to talk about your upgrade. I look forward to seeing how that pans out over time. I think we want to move on to a next topic because I think we're an hour and 9 minutes in. So let's speed run the rest of our topics, dude. So we got Microsoft buys Activision. Big topic to the gaming community right now.
Yeah,
obviously,
crazy topic, right?
Think about it. Like Activision, Blizzard, and Activision in total, they have a lot of IPs under their belt. And then Microsoft's going to be owning those, basically.
They own King.com too, right? Like Candy Crush and stuff?
Yeah. So it's
like that's pretty huge.
It's huge.
You know what else is huge, dude, that someone pointed out? That like I didn't realize, just like general inflation numbers, you know what I mean? How much was that cost that for that Microsoft paid? $67 billion, was it?
Yeah, crazy amount.
So back in 2012, okay?
Yeah.
Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion, and that was like an unheard of sale.
Oh my god!
Think about that for a second.
That's kind of insane. Think about the money that we just saw change hands. Then
think about that for a second, dude. Yeah,
dude, that's such a big acquisition, isn't it? Like for gaming, I think about it, and I'm like, how does Apple not think gaming is a big deal? Like, why don't they invest more in gaming? Like, why don't they care about it when you have Microsoft throwing billions around like this for a gaming publisher? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's got to be it's got to be a huge industry. Like, it's going to make Microsoft a ton of money. $68.7 billion all cash deal to buy Activision, and that's crazy. I mean, you're talking about franchises like Call of Duty. You're gonna have everything Blizzard's got. Everything Blizzard's got. WoW, all that. Microsoft's going to own it, and it's kind of scary actually, in one way, because it's kind of like
what's bizarre to me,
the company's too big at this point.
We'll see. Like we think that, right? But then I also read an article. This Activision Blizzard thing,
right?
This Activision or acquisition only puts Microsoft only puts Microsoft in number 3 for gaming revenue.
Wow, really? So who's 2 and 1?
2 is Sony.
Oh, really?
Because of first-party titles like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn.
What?
Yeah, dude, they're juggernauts.
Well,
dude.
who was where was Microsoft before?
I don't know.
The acquisition.
I don't know. I just
who's number 1? Don't tell me.
Guess.
I can't.
You're Googling it. Tencent, fucking League of Legends
God
owner.
Damn it, you're right. Tencent, dude, Chinese company.
Yeah.
Mobile games.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Tencent's worth that much.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like they're really big in like the mobile space. It's League of Legends is like massive over there.
Yeah.
But they're actually suffering pretty badly because of that new Chinese regulation.
Yes.
Where like people can only play for like an hour a day.
I did see that. Pretty bad for the gamers over there. I'll say that. I wouldn't want to be over there. Fuck that, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to be over there in general, just because
of reasons. Yeah.
Bald eagle boy. I like being free.
Yeah. You like being free, dude? Fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
Nah, just kidding. I want to play video games.
Yeah, dude.
For more than an hour. But yeah, so I mean, here's the thing,
your
dude.
Monster Hunter tells me that.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, almost 61 hours. So anyway. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a big acquisition, and a lot of discussion has happened around. Obviously, Blizzard is, for me, one of the big highlights for this. I know Activision Blizzard has been under fire because of all their sexual harassment stuff going on, and a lot of the stuff in their games. Like, I think it's been a bad look that they've been removing a lot of these more sexual elements from like even World of Warcraft. You know what I'm talking about? Kind of like censoring their game because of the backlash, but it's like the stuff they're censoring is like, dude, that's been in the game since like vanilla. Why are you censoring this? Like it's just kind of bullshit, if you ask me. It's like, sexualization isn't a problem. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're humans. Like this is just something that happens. It's what you're doing at your workplace. Like that's what's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just be like, oh well, we're gonna fix our games. Your games weren't the problem, dude. Your games aren't under fire.
Yeah.
You're under fire.
Yeah.
So like you're not doing anything, dude. Like so, I think it's interesting. And Microsoft, what was it? Phil Spencer in a tweet was like, "We're gonna change the way we do business with Activision." I think that was the tweet, and it was like,
I mean, I kind of trust him though. Like I think he's a good guy. You know what I mean? Like
it's funny because it's like change the way
people.
they do business. We're gonna buy Activision Blizzard and change it. That's fucking funny. But yeah, I think Phil Spencer's a good guy. You were saying he makes some big money, dude.
Yeah, he makes some crazy money.
Yeah.
But like, I think we've had this discussion before, like when the Xbox Series X like first came into my house and stuff.
Right.
And like I was kind of like trying to learn more about Phil Spencer and like the direction of Xbox. And like every interview, like he's so candid. Like he's so transparent with people. And
right.
I think we had that discussion on an earlier podcast when he was breaking down how people make money on Game Pass,
Yeah, and that was the thing, because it was like he was asked, how does Microsoft make money?
Yeah.
And I think he gave a pretty honest answer.
He did, yeah.
So I like the guy. So, I think that this will be, because I think Microsoft has gained a lot of credit with the gamers over the past 3 years. I've seen a lot of good things come from Microsoft, both in Game Pass, Phil Spencer. I think the credit they've built in the mind of their audience, the gamers, has really accumulated over the years. So I think when they go to buy Activision, I think most people think, well, we like Microsoft as a game studio, as a publisher, and as the Xbox team, we like them. So we hopefully like what they're going to do with Activision, and I look forward to seeing it because they bought Bethesda, and that seems like it's working out, it's panning out. You see what they're doing with Game Pass. All the Bethesda titles come in the Game Pass. It could be we get Activision titles on Game Pass. We could get Call of Duty on Game Pass. We could get, they talked about, I heard rumor that they might even make the Battle.net WoW subscription into Game Pass somehow or something. And if that happens, I'm definitely going to get Game Pass because why not? Yeah, I'd play WoW.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
I also heard that, and like this is a direct quote, so let me pull this up really quick. Let me find it because I thought that this was huge. I actually have to bring up Discord, dude.
Right. Because I know if, like, I would still play WoW if if the subscription was rolled up into Game Pass, dude. I think that would make WoW explode.
I think it would too. I said the same thing. Like, WoW's hemorrhaging players left and right. Like, the game is just not good right now. Right. Like, it's just not. So like,
not as a subscription game.
Yeah. So here's a quote from Phil Spencer. Mobile is the largest segment in gaming, with nearly 95% of all players globally enjoying games on mobile. Through great teams and great technology, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard will empower players to enjoy the most immersive franchises like Halo and Warcraft anywhere they want, and with games like Candy Crush. Activision Blizzard's mobile business represents a significant presence and opportunity for Microsoft in this fast-growing segment.
Wow. You know what that means, right? We're going to see a lot more game streaming and Game Pass.
I was going to say, dude, like as someone who like kind of likes that, like that play anywhere mentality, because like,
right,
that's cool. And that's really neat that they want to bring Halo and Warcraft to that and not make like Bubble Bob or whatever. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, I really look forward to seeing what they do to revolutionize the industry. I think that they're trying to make plays in, Game Pass is definitely a future for them. They see that. I think that streaming, like game streaming through Microsoft, I think that that's going places. xCloud seems like it's actually good. And for a lot of people, like I know a lot of people on the Mac gaming subreddit love the streaming services because they can game on their Macs.
I've played xCloud a few times, and I still wouldn't play competitive games on it. Like, I wouldn't touch that with a 40-foot pole. Yeah. And, like, it's not the best experience for single-player games ever. But, like, if that's all you have, you can do it.
Right.
You can do it.
I'm sure people like, you know, like maybe people aren't, maybe more casual people, they don't really care about input lag or like response times as much. They just want to experience a good gaming session, maybe a more relaxed one, maybe a story-based one. And I think that game streaming can be perfect for that. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm still against it personally because I want to run it on my own hardware. I want to have the best experience possible as the enthusiast. But you know, for a lot of people, maybe the difference between not having to buy a console, you know, is big enough. You know, think about it. Like they don't have to buy like a $300 plus console. They don't have to buy crazy accessories every year. They can just use whatever controller they got on the shelf, Bluetooth it to their laptop, their desktop, their phone, and be like wherever they're at on xCloud. And that's kind of, you know, and not have to worry about graphics cards, not have to worry about like, think about this too with xCloud. You don't have to worry about buying the next console generation. You know what I mean? xCloud's going to be xCloud. So you're going to have any console generation going forward would be on a platform like that. So they might tier it out later, but like that's for later. You know, they might end up, people are saying xCloud and Game Pass will one day go the route of Netflix and raise their prices, you know, like to $20 a month like Netflix is doing.
Can we talk about that for a second? Like just briefly, briefly, because I just want to get your opinion. It's like, oh, we're not growing our subscriber base. Better charge our loyal customers more. Like, what is going on with that?
Well, you know, I don't know what it is, but I think that Netflix just feels like they got a stranglehold in the streaming industry and they're just milking it. You know, I feel like they're just milking it because they think they can. And you know what I think is going to be the result is just piracy. You know, a lot of people say piracy never really goes away. It just lies there dormant waiting for it to be the most convenient option. And for a lot of people, you know, if they want to watch their Netflix content, dude, and they refuse to pay, they're just going to pirate. You know, Gabe Newell said a long time ago that, you know, piracy is a service problem. And it's because, you know, if you make it really difficult for consumers to get to the content they want, they're going to go the routes of piracy. And that Netflix is going to feel that. You're going to see an upsurge in piracy. It's just a matter of time. You can't avoid it. You know, if people want to get their content, I think everyone's willing to pay for things as long as they feel like it's reasonable. And I think streaming services particularly, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but there's just been a growth of how many different ones there are. And then also the fact that Netflix is deciding to charge even more for theirs. It's like consumers are kind of feeling like a little milked, you know?
I think so too. I think that's a good term, dude. Like, I have nipples, Greg. Can you back me?
Yeah, man, because I know personally, I refuse to pay for more than, like, I pay for Netflix and I pay for, like, Crunchyroll or whatever, because I got to get my weeb content, got to get my anime. So, but other than that, like, I don't pay for any other streaming services, but I know my brother pays for Funimation, which is a different anime streaming platform.
Speaking of weeb content, dude, I'm surprised you haven't bought that Tail DLC in Monster Hunter Rise yet.
Oh shit, dude, I didn't know about that.
$1.49, dude. Tail DLC.
Easy sell. No, I don't know. I'll look into it, but I hate DLC to begin with, though. That's like you know, I'm very anti microtransaction for the most part. So, except for if it's a Tail DLC, then I'll pick it up. But yeah, man, we're feeling as consumers very milked. So I don't know if this is gonna. A lot of people are in uproar about it. So I don't know. What do you think? You upset about Netflix or no?
Not really, and that's because honestly, dude, I can't tell you the last show I've watched on. Oh, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai was the last show I've watched on Netflix, but like that's literally like kind of the only time I turn on Netflix.
So do you have a subscription?
I do.
Okay.
But I'm probably going to cancel it.
Oh, so you're going to I'm going to keep mine, dude. Like, I actually get content out of Netflix that I enjoy. That's exclusive. I watched Arcane. Did you watch Arcane, dude?
I watched Arcane. Okay.
Arcane was tight as hell.
So, like, I think me wanting to cancel Netflix has nothing to do with the price hike. I think that like I just really don't watch anything on it. Like I'm thinking now, like I've had a Netflix sub for I would almost say 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Like I was getting DVDs in the mail.
Yeah.
But like realistically, I've watched Cobra Kai, I've watched Arcane, I've watched Hill House, I've watched Bly Manor. That's it.
So, do you think like, okay, well, if something comes out, you'll just sail the high seas? And
no, I'll probably sub to it because I'm lazy.
Okay, yeah.
But like I'll probably buy the month, watch the show, and then
drop it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because like for me, I watch a lot of Netflix because they got some decent anime on there. They got the JoJo new season, like I think half of the new season. They got the new Witcher. I like the Witcher stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I did watch the Witcher. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Witcher's good. I
did watch some things on Netflix.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean that's the thing. Netflix is kind of good. Like they got exclusives. You got the so I don't know. I don't know. That's the one I'll stay paying for. But I can't justify having more than Netflix, right?
You know which one I think is worth the money?
What's that?
More than any of them? Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, so I am still riding my free year.
Apple TV Plus.
I don't know, man. I watched like one movie on it, and that's it.
Their shows are the best shows that I've seen on television in a long time. Servant is out of this world. Like,
what?
One of the best shows I've ever watched.
I'm going to have to talk with you later, dude.
Ted Lasso. Why have you seen it?
Well, no, because I want to know what's good on Apple TV.
Oh, Ted Lasso is one of the best shows I've ever seen.
There's no way. Like I saw it advertised to me like a million times, and I kind of resented the show at that point. I was like, I don't want to watch it.
I did too. I'm like, this looks like nothing I'm into. I'm not into soccer. I'm not into football. It is one of the best shows I've ever seen. But dude, it was nominated for. Oh my god, dude.
So it's actually good. Because I like refuse to watch it.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. It's insane. It was nominated for 20 Emmys, and dude, honest to God, like one of the best shows on television.
Okay.
Servant, one of the best shows on television. C is really, really freaking good. They're just tossing out really good content.
Okay.
And it's $4.99. You know what I mean? Like it's cheap compared to the other ones.
Well, the nice thing about Apple TV content is like it's Dolby Vision a lot of times with Atmos and like.
Oh, dude! I was gonna say it's also the best quality.
Yeah.
So like, if you care about that stuff, Invasion is really good too. It's about an alien invasion. Oh my God, Foundation. One of the best shows I've seen in a long time.
Wow.
Dude, I'm just going off on... So really quickly, I just want to brush on Foundation really quickly with you.
Go for it.
So I've actually read the book Foundation. And the reason I've read it is because I've read the Elon Musk like biography, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Because like I'm an Elon Musk fanboy, spoiler alert. And like he was asked the question, like, what 3 books do you recommend? And like one was on AI, one was on like rocket engines and rocket fuel, like just textbooks.
Right.
Like these are the 2 books that so far that he said that every human needs to read. And the third one was Isaac Asimov's Foundation. So I wasn't going to read the 2 textbooks, so I read Foundation.
Okay.
And Foundation is an excellent book. And Apple made it into a TV show. And like the TV show is probably about an 8 out of 10. Like the books are better, obviously.
Okay.
But one thing that's crazy about Foundation is the cinematography, and Apple kind of takes this approach of we spared no expense when it comes to their shows because they literally print money, and it shows in their production, their mastering of audio and video, the cast they have, what special effects they have. Like every show on Apple TV is like a fucking blockbuster.
Yeah.
Like even if it's a show like the morning show that I'm not really into, but my mother loves the morning show and Kelly loves the morning show, like it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
It has Steve Carell, it has Jennifer Aniston, the production value through the roof, color grading through the roof, just everything about it is S rank.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look at it, dude. Foundation, because I'm definitely looking to watch something. So on there, because I have the free year, so I was like, I want to look at it. So, but yeah, man, subscription services. Yeah, we touched on it. I think we ought to move on, dude. So, R5C, dude, did you have something you wanted to say about it, or?
I just wanted to touch on it briefly because I'm a camera boy.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
I think so. Essentially, what it is it's a R5 with an active cooling system on it, right?
Yeah. So is that the camera you sent me, right?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's literally an R5 with an active cooling system on it.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy because the back of it like stuck out.
Yeah.
And then you have like what do you call it? Like active vents on the back. It was nutty. So it's thick, boy. Hold on, I think I got some pictures on this. Like
it's confusing to me, right? Like it's gonna sell, right? It's obviously gonna sell. It's what people want. It's sold out already. You can pull up some pictures if you want.
I'm working on it. Yeah.
Has compromises too, and it doesn't. And I'm glad I have the R5. Let's put it that way.
Here, I'll pull up B&H, but
okay,
keep going.
yeah, it's perfect. I'm glad I have the R5 for two reasons. One, I primarily do photos. You know, like I love photos. I really do. Like photography is always going to be my home. You know,
right. This is a video camera.
This is an R5 with an active cooling fan. And Canon says that it is weather sealed, but not to the same extent as the R5 because of the vents on the side, obviously.
Right.
And it doesn't have IBIS. So like that's a big problem for like a photography version. It kind of makes sense. Like their reasoning for it is that IBIS generates lots of heat, especially the IBIS that Canon has. So
I mean that might be the case, but if you have active cooling, I guess you still don't want to blast fans because you care about like audio things.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you want to try and keep your So even though it's active, like you still wouldn't want it to. I don't know how loud it's going to be, but I would think
I can tell you that
they still want to reduce heat.
I can tell you that none of Sony Cinema Line has IBIS, and none of Canon Cinema Line has IBIS. Right. Like the C70s we have at work, those have active cooling fans, and they're quiet. Right. Like you could even adjust the fan curve in on the back of the screen. It's pretty cool.
So can I ask a dumb question?
Sure.
This is just curiosity. So real quick, I just want to comment. Like the ventilation system is pretty robust on this thing. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's going to compete with like your cinema pocket, like a Blackmagic Pocket 6K sort of audience.
Yeah.
But like this seems it seems better actually. But even that doesn't have IBIS. This will have better autofocus, right, than a 6K, which has like none, or those products. But yeah, the dumb question is like, for cooling these things, because I've seen people take apart their cameras and like put like liquid cooling on them and stuff, right? Like, what kind of like cooling is there really? Like, do you think they use like thermal paste, like a CPU type of thing, or
that's a pretty good question. That's a pretty good question, actually. Yeah. So with higher end cameras, right? Like the processors do a lot. Like people don't realize this, but like there's a reason why this camera is, $4,500 and your iPhone is $1,200 and comes with a phone, Right. And a lot of that comes down to sensor size and sensor quality, but also, the intricacies of the autofocus system, the white balance system, the FPS, things of that nature, all require lots of processing power.
Right.
So if you take apart a camera, it literally is a processor with passive cooling, and cameras like the A1, the A7R4, the R5, the R6, like larger, very high-end, high-performance cameras, is they'll basically have like a copper, like kind of almost like a heat tray that the processor will mount on, and then that will connect to the magnesium frame if the camera has a magnesium frame. So it's realistically passive cooling, and then it kind of uses the housing as its own heatsink.
Okay.
So the fan, I would assume, probably goes between the magnesium housing and goes around that copper plate.
Right.
And then that creates direct contact with some sort of TIM, some thermal interface material that will dissipate the heat better.
So the TIM, like they probably could use like liquid metal and get some improvements, you would think.
I think they already use a TIM between the actual processor itself and the copper plate. But think of the copper plate as like an IHS on a processor. You know what I mean? So then in a typical camera, you would have processor, TIM, copper plate, or IHS, and then the case would just be mounted to that copper plate with no TIM between the copper plate and the magnesium chassis, just kind of bolted down to it.
Right.
I assume that with like the R5C, they're probably using some sort of thermal pad. I would say it's probably a thermal pad between the fan and the copper plate. That would be my best guess. I haven't taken apart a 5C, but that would be my guess. I've seen teardowns of the A1 and the R5 respectively, and they are both very similar in that regard with how they're passively cooled.
Okay, yeah.
But I would assume that there's some TIM and basically kind of like your typical heatsink fan.
I always feel like we could do better with cooling these things, because you know, it's not like the A1 or even your R5 has like a civilized, sophisticated cooling system. I don't know, even passively. Like, I feel like we could do better than just hook up to the magnesium housing. Because, like, you just saw it in real time. If I had my the back display shut, that's enough to capture enough heat to overheat my camera. And as soon as I flip out my camera, as soon as I flip out my screen, that's enough dissipation to not overheat. So it's like, well, what the, like, you could do something about that, I would think. Like, so, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I think like you could.
So here's my take on it. Okay.
Yeah.
So these cameras, these hybrid cameras, operate without hitch, with passive cooling, with their current passive cooling for what they were intended to be. You know, so
what you're saying is, like,
when you're operating within spec, okay, and a big problem, especially in like the professional camera world, is battery life. It totally is. You know, you hear people complain about it on the Sonys, you hear people complain about it on the Canons, you hear people complain about it on the Nikons, is that they had to carry multiple batteries with them. They had to get battery grips, they had to get battery packs. If you're shooting, you know, an 8, 9, 10 hour wedding, if you're shooting, you know, a full sports game, and you're taking, you know, 2,000 photos, it's not unrealistic at a professional sporting event. So it really comes down to, I would say, tuning and how much hardware do they need to put in the camera that draws on that battery. And an active cooling system will 100% draw on that battery.
Yeah, but I'm not saying we go active. Like, I just think that we could do better passively. You know, like whether or not you add some fins, like, to something, or like, because they could probably have like a semi-active advocate. Yeah, go ahead. Because you're adding thickness, obviously.
You're adding thickness and weight. Weight is where I was going to actually go with that. You know, like it's almost like a challenge to get these cameras as light as possible, especially in the bodies, because if you mount big boy lenses on it, you're going to add weight. If you mount a flash on it, you're going to add weight. If you mount a vertical grip on it, you're going to add weight. And in a lot of these cases, you have to carry this around for all day, dude. All day.
Okay.
I mean, I think a good example is what's I going to say to you? I use a gimbal sometimes for work.
Right.
And I had to do a 4-hour shoot outdoors, and I literally thought my arms were just going to drop the camera.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're holding a gimbal, like out here, like I'm not sure if I'm in the frame or not, but like holding a gimbal out here for like multiple hours, dude.
Right.
Like you better have the forearms of Zeus, because I would do anything to have 50 less grams on that even, you know?
Yeah.
So,
well, I would have probably, if I were in your situation, I was going to be doing that, I would have had something like, you know how like you can have rigs that like,
for sure,
almost like a belt, you know, where you're offsetting the weight to your hips or whatever. Like I would have done something like that.
I was just using that as an example, but like even doing a wedding with a flash and like a 70-200 on it, you're going to feel it after 4 or 5 hours.
So so what you're saying is Sony and Canon and all these companies, they look at that compromise and they're like, okay, for the intense use case, like we can allow an overheat scenario.
Well, again,
after a point,
an overheat scenario in these cameras are using them outside of their intended use case. You know, these
so what you're saying is like don't use a hybrid as a cinema camera is what you're getting at.
See, like even hybrid makes it feel like a loose term, you know, like the A1, the
so
R5,
you're saying these are camera first.
These are cameras that have video functionality.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you're right, but like so many people are buying these to use as their primary shooters.
But
for
that's
video.
that's because of the whole content creator YouTube kind of mentality. You know what I mean? Like they want to, you know, like.
Well, it's the I don't know. So it's the non-professionals out there, right? Like if you're a pro, like, you know, I know for work you bought like what was it, the Canon, like the cinema,
the EOS
C70s.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a cinema camera, right? Lots of options, very much focused for video and very good camera.
It goes beyond being focused for video. You cannot take stills on that at all.
And like I feel like, you know, that's obviously, you know, the market that these companies are focusing on are, you know, like the pro photographers and pro videographers. So
these are the cameras we buy
yeah.
are photographic cameras that just so happen to also make really good video cameras.
Right.
And
but
when
I think
we use
that's
them,
what people want now out of these things. Like I know personally, like I want the hybrid that can do everything.
Yeah, but the hybrid is always going to have a compromise, I feel.
Okay.
I feel the hybrid is always going to have a compromise.
And you know, it's kind of weird because we've had such great hybrids recently.
Like you're not going to get a Super 35 sensor in a photographic camera because you're not going to get that. You know what I mean? Like the C70s even have internal neutral density filters.
Yeah,
you know how cool that is.
Yeah, I wish I had built an ND for sure.
Yeah, like
1000%.
I don't know.
No, I get it, man. I get it. I still think hybrids are awesome. I wish that.
I think hybrids are awesome too.
Yeah.
But like we're talking about overheating in both the A1 and the R5 at like such a high level.
So
like,
real quick,
like shooting 8K for over 20 minutes. Yeah.
So what do you think about the R5C then? Because like, how much is an R5?
$38.99.
$38.99. So for an additional like
$600.
$600.
Yeah.
You're going to get the R5C, which is like an R5 with active cooling. So where do you think, is this a weird product? It's number one seller right now, apparently.
It's not a weird product because of the price.
Okay.
I think the price makes it a competitive option. Okay. So like if I were a professional YouTuber, let's say that like Technosthetic went off the rails. Okay.
Suddenly,
like just suddenly went off the rails. I would not use an A1 or an R5.
You'd use an R5C
to record Technosthetic. I would have probably. I would still probably get a C7.
Do you think? Okay. Do you think the R5C would have been a camera for me?
Yes, 100%. I think
that
for your use case. What's that?
It shoots stills.
It's
exactly
an R5.
Okay.
Just without IBIS.
Yeah. So IBIS is kind of clutch for photos, though.
It's clutch for photos, but here's the thing, dude. A lot of Canon lenses, a lot of Canon's RF lenses have in-lens stabilization.
Yeah.
But the only thing you lose, right, is like if I put on my macro lens or like the 15 to 35 lens, that the lens and the body have stabilization, I get 8 stops.
That's nutty.
And like my 20 to 70 f2, that doesn't have in-lens stabilization because it's already a barrel.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have to rely on IBIS for that.
Yeah.
So like. Yeah, for me, who's more photographic centric, I think the R5 is a better buy for me. But if this camera existed when you bought your A1 and you bought an A1 over this, it would be silly. I mean, like, it just would.
I want stills and I want IBIS. So I probably would have still got the A1, but I would have felt bad because this camera is honestly kind of clutch, right? Like I kind of, if you're, I think that
is awesome. Yeah.
You know how like you get some people, like I think it was like who was it? Gerald Undone. Like he bought a bunch of Sony bodies because for AB camera stuff, right? But like if you're gonna use an A1 as an A or a B cam, like you need like why not buy like this R5C instead? Because like if it's gonna live and breathe as a video camera, and so who cares if it has IBIS? It's gonna be cheaper than an A1. It's gonna give you 8K.
Actually,
in camera.
Can I take that back?
Okay.
Can I take that back? Here's what I would do because I want to start a photography business on the side. I would get an R5 and I would get an R5C.
Yeah.
And then I would get the R5C as also like a secondary camera.
Yeah.
But I would predominantly use like wide angle lenses on it that you don't really need IBIS for.
Okay. Yeah.
So like I would keep the 15 to 35 on it that has in-lens stabilization and you don't really need it because it's a shorter.
Right.
It's a shorter focal length. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then for video, you would just.
And then for video, I would just be the king.
Yeah. For sure.
So I think that I think that would be the play.
Okay.
I think that would be the play.
Okay.
Although I do like the features of the C70. Again, we're talking in a vacuum.
Okay.
If I was just doing podcast, YouTube channel, and Technostatic, I think I would get the C70.
Okay.
If I was doing hybrid stuff, I think I would get the R5C.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a neat camera, dude. I think that I think people will buy it. It's obviously sold out, so and it's number one seller apparently on B&H. So, wow. It's going to be interesting to watch some videos. Are there any videos on it yet?
There is.
Okay, good. I'm kind of interested to hear some opinions, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, let's move on. Next topic real quick.
Sure.
So what do we got here? So you want to talk about the NVIDIA unlock on the co-CPU, co-processor.
I don't really know a whole lot about it, but apparently there's this feature in NVIDIA's GPUs and all 3000 series cards and some workstation cards that would allow the user to kind of use their GPU to offload some CPU tasks onto the graphics card. But it's only coming to Max-Q processors and workstation cards currently, and there's no talk if it's coming to like your main GeForce line.
Okay. So, I mean, why was it locked to begin with?
I don't know. I would say that it's new technology that wasn't ready yet because it wasn't even unlocked in their Quadro cards.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like no card had it, I should say.
So
it's
what
like
is it going to offer?
offer?
So it's an optimizer of some sort, right? Like
Yeah. I sent you a little article on it.
Yeah, I'm reading up on it.
That's about the extent of my knowledge as well.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
But
Maximize efficiency.
Like the GSP, but it's called like the like GSP, so like a command processor, and essentially what it'll do is it can offload like background tasks to the GPU apparently.
Interesting.
So like if you have a processor that is not efficient or kind of long in the tooth, I think the idea is that you would be able to then just upgrade your graphics card and essentially also get like a processor upgrade in the process.
That's kind of funny.
You know, like kind of how like Intel
it's like an SoC, dude.
Yeah, kind of like how like Intel 12th Gen offloads like background tasks to the E-cores.
Yeah.
Apparently, you may be able to offload background tasks to your GPU, which is kind of crazy.
Okay,
to me,
interesting.
You know?
Interesting.
So yeah.
I mean, that's cool, but I just think so it's not really like a negative on NVIDIA. Maybe it was just something that wasn't ready. Because I was kind of thinking maybe like they were kind of being scummy.
No processor had it. And to be honest with you, to be totally frank, like with the current direction of desktop processors, like if Intel 12th Gen is any, like kind of peek into the looking glass of where processors are going to go, I don't think that this will really have a benefit on like high-end desktop. But I think that this would benefit people who are like up until last year, my friend was still running a 4770K.
Nice.
Like 4 cores, 8 threads.
Yeah.
And he had a 10, but he had a 1080 Ti and he just played games. You know what I mean? So I feel like in those scenarios, if he could have gotten like a 3080 graphics card and also, got some better CPU performance because some background tasks were offloaded to the GPU, I could see that being a pretty neat use case there. You know what I'm saying?
No, I like that a lot, actually. So I think that's cool. Provided that the Windows scheduler will let it happen with ease. Anyway, dude, so last topic of the night, dude. So Apple engineer and director of Mac system architecture, Jeff Wilson, has announced
that's his name,
that on his LinkedIn profile, he's joined Intel and will be working with Intel's engineering team in the creation of next generation SoCs. So I guess this is one of the brainchilds behind the M1 Apple Silicon chip, which we are enamored by, and all the following chips, M1 Pro and Max. And I think this is a fascinating turn of events. I mean, obviously, when you get these high-level engineers, they're always bouncing between companies.
Always. I think that guy was it Intel twice or NVIDIA twice? Yeah. One company was at twice. I forget which one it was, though.
I'm unsure. But because I'm really unfamiliar with like all these big players, I just know that for me this is a significant thing because, obviously this guy has a lot of insight into what happened with the M1, and Intel obviously is very interested in this because they've lost Apple's business. They were originally putting chips into the MacBooks. Then Apple's like, nah, dude, you suck. We're going Apple Silicon. We're going to do it our way, and it's because they got big brains over there making kick-ass chips, dude. These the chips in the iPhones, the iPads, they've been bleeding-edge ARM chips that have destroyed the competition. Android phones could not compete as far as like performance, efficiency, graphics. Like the Apple really had it locked down, and they brought that power to their laptops and now their desktops with their Macs and their iMacs and everything. So I think that I've been really, really impressed. So to see this guy jump ship and go to Intel, I think it's going to be pretty interesting because Intel is going to reap some of those benefits and knowledge that this guy is going to bring. I think it's going to be a good thing for Intel. And I don't think it's really going to hurt Apple too much. I think that they've kind of got a, they know where they're going. Apple's going, they're already
the roadmap is planned out. They're basically in the like rinse repeat iterative phase. And when I say iterative, I don't mean like we're going to see small improvements. I mean, they have the blueprint to make greatness. We're going to see, as their process gets refined, they know what they need to do.
Exactly. They have the hardware to make it happen. It's really up to the software team to utilize it. They're going to be making better and better chips over the years. I'd say the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see Apple Silicon continue to grow, and then the software is going to grow along with it. It's going to be excellent. So the roadmap's planned out, but Intel's been falling behind. AMD has came in. They've been really muscling them in the desktop department, in the server department, and in Mac, they lost the business, the Apple business. So to see what they're going to do next, I think that Intel planning into the future, because I think you're going to see ARM technology be more and more relevant in mobile. When it comes to laptops and things like that. Even on the Windows side, it's going to be more and more relevant.
I think that, when you get to the level of this specific engineer, you don't leave for money. You leave for exciting projects. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think you have to have that kind of mentality. And I think that he probably sees what Intel is doing, with their 12th gen. It's kind of a radical change for a desktop processor, right?
Yes, radical change.
P-cores and E-cores when you literally have infinite TDP because you plug into a wall the entire time.
Right. So, isn't that weird though? Right? Like you would still do it. But why is that? I want to know. It's probably because they want to unify platforms, right? You're going to want to do P and E cores for mobile. You want to be efficient.
I've heard a few takes on it. That was one of the takes.
Okay.
The other take is that Intel's IPC is so high that a lot of these tasks that happen in the background, they can do for almost free on E-cores. So,
this makes 100% sense. Think about it. For years, like we've been wanting to clock up certain cores just to reduce the heat.
Right.
And so this is really just a better way to do it. Because you have those tasks that are going to be like those low power, low consumption tasks. There's going to be, very frequent amount of them. Having dedicated hardware for that's like low power, but not really, it doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be able to churn out instructions at an efficient rate. I think that's great, dude.
Right. So like if you watch like Buildzoid or like the Bower and stuff, it's really interesting to see them overclock 12th gen because they focus on the P cores. And then he says that like, because the P cores are stable and the E cores are so low power, you can jack up the E cores for free.
Wow.
Because you've already stabilized the high performance cores and the E cores share the same VRM.
Right.
So he was basically saying that like if you run your P cores at a certain speed, you pretty much just get free performance or free overclock on the E cores because they already have more than enough power to go well beyond what they're running at.
Fantastic. So yeah, I think it's really interesting that Intel, they picked up this great architecture engineer. I think that we're going to have some great things to see from Intel. I already love what they've done with 12th gen. And so I look forward to seeing what they do with mobile as well. And maybe they break into ARM a little bit. I wonder if they will. I
think they will.
And build SoCs.
But I do want to cover one thing because I haven't seen this brought up anywhere. And now it really kind of big-brained on me.
Sure.
If you remember the 10th gen, the 10900K was 10 cores, 20 threads, right?
Okay.
And then the 11th gen came out, and like Gamers Nexus came out and said that it was a total waste of sand, and it was worse than the 10900K because they dropped it from 10 core 20 threads back to 816.
Right.
But maybe that was them getting the architecture down for the P cores that we see in the 12th gen because the 12th gen is 816 on the P cores with 8 efficiency cores.
Okay.
So maybe that was them kind of taking a step back to take a giant leap forward.
Maybe, dude.
Anyway.
I mean, to be optimistic, I hope so, because I do like the direction they're going. I know that, AMD, they initially wanted to compete with Intel by just throwing cores and threads at us. It didn't really stick until recently, where they actually had really great single core performance to match. And now Intel's coming back swinging. They don't necessarily compete in the cores threads department. So you might be able to muscle a Cinebench benchmark or something, but even then, like the single core performance is so strong that you see great Cinebench numbers on these 12th gen chips.
Yeah. So I got 2188 and 29,000. So 2188 single on R23. That is crazy, dude.
Yeah, very strong. So, and a lot of tasks need a lot of single core performance. Yeah. So, me personally, if I was shopping today, that's where I would go 12th gen for sure.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
But yeah, Apple Engineer, fascinating. We'll see where that leads for Intel. Let's wrap up the podcast.
Wrap it up, dude. It feels good to be back, doesn't it, man? Feels really good to be back. Feels great
to be back, dude. It's been like a 2-hour podcast, so I'm glad to wrap it up, dude. So we'll see you guys next week. We're gonna keep doing it weekly. We just wanted to take a break, but
Got a lot going on over the holidays.
A lot going on. So yeah, if you want to see more of us, check us out. We're on every podcast platform that matters, as far as I know, and YouTube. Watch us there. Give us a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you guys next time on the Technosthetic Podcast.
Peace.